What we're going to get into now is a little section called My 3 Cents. Now, what My 3 Cents is something else that's been a couple of things that have been on my mind for the week. And right after that, we're going to have Te Reo time with Karepe, which is cool. So I don't know if any of you have seen what just happened with Mike Tyson recently, but if you've been under a rock, basically 24 hours ago, Mike Tyson got on a plane at about 10:30 at night in San Francisco, where I am right now, to go to this 420 concert, whatever it was. A belligerent, obnoxious human behind him decided to absolutely just be a moron as they were boarding the plane, and eventually just gets punched in the face a whole bunch of times, right? So there's waves to this thing. The first wave is obviously, oh my gosh, I can't believe Mike Tyson did it. And then people see actually what happened, whatever. And there's going to be lawsuits and there'll be settlements and there'll be different bits and pieces. The interesting part to it is the actual byproduct of thinking, if you're Mike Tyson's camp, going, okay, the human was allowed to come onto this plane to abuse me. So he's going to try and sue Mike Tyson, but then Mike Tyson's crew are going to probably sue the airline for allowing an obnoxiously intoxicated human to come behind him. And then there's going to be probably some NDA signed, behind the scenes settlements, and it's all going to kind of go away. The bit that I always find, and anytime something pops up in terms of, social things or celebrities or whatever it is, there's always a story behind the story. And everyone always jumps to the clickbait of, oh my gosh, this thing happened, and they rush to judgment. They don't think about how this things will play out. And I was just really interested because no one's talking about the potential fallout of this thing. Because obviously at the end of the day, you shouldn't punch people in the face, especially if you're arguably the baddest man on the planet. I'm not saying it's justified, but I can understand if an obnoxiously drunk human behind me as I'm trying to sit down and mind my business does it. So he'll probably sue Tyson. Tyson's crew will probably sue the airline because that guy shouldn't have been on the plane. But it's always this interesting thing of story behind the story. The second little thing that's been on my mind, my 3 cents. If you've got thoughts about that, feel free to text me through at 3920. The second little thing that was on my mind this week, I had a very interesting meeting down in, it was at Silicon Valley. There was a startup grind. And basically this thing is 3,000 really smart humans from all over the world get together and they all talk about the future of these bits and pieces. And if you're in New Zealand right now, one of the things I really like of being in San Francisco and Silicon Valley is the amount of thinking is always, it's whatever. All this money's coming into the people try. 90% of the day involved around 3 words. Those 3 words were Web 3.0, Google it, metaverse, and crypto. That was it. Like everything else was like, there's a whole, and actually community kind of was this overlatching thing. But a really interesting weave that I found through that when people were talking was this, as the world opens back up, one of the biggest things which people are going to be doing is striving for in-person connection with decision makers. So, you've been locked away, you wanted to try and do some stuff. And so many people are now beyond excited to start traveling, see people and all the rest of it. So those are kind of 3 things on for my 3 cents this week. 1, Mike Tyson thing. 2, the future of Web3, metaverse, and crypto. Dig into it. It's going to be a new thing. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you can do some Googling, YouTubing, and thirdly with the in-person connections. And I was listening to an interview with one of the CEOs from the airlines, I think it was like Southwest or something last week, and he was saying, through COVID, business travel went to 0, but as soon as that person comes back from the sales trip and he wins that big contract because he showed up in person to see the decision maker instead of just trying to do a virtual Zoom call, then you're going to watch everything pop. And that's obviously what's starting to happen. So if you've got any thoughts on that, feel free to text it through 3920 and I can read them out here.